Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing today? I hope you're well. We see Ken is joining me, obviously. Hey, Ken, how's it going, man?
Pretty good, John. Happy Friday. I'm enjoying it
Awesome.
so far. Even though it's been snowing here again yesterday, I don't know if you knew, but it started snowing once again. It's still very nice. It's gonna be a nice weekend today.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. And I see we have people checking in from all over the place, from France, from Arizona, from Pennsylvania, from the UK,
Yes,
from
welcome
Virginia,
everybody.
yeah, so Germany, so Colorado. Yeah, awesome. We appreciate you guys joining us. And I know that there was a little bit of confusion because we did do a webinar yesterday in the inner circle, and some people who were in the inner circle got an email and were confused about dates and times and everything. I think for lives from this time forward, we're going to be doing them at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and
Mhm.
usually on a Friday. That's what we're going to try to do. And the inner circle webinars, those will be happening periodically, but keep in mind, if you are an Inner Circle member, you will be the only ones that get those emails. So if we have multiple things going on in a week, sort of separate the emails so that we can keep them organized for you. Awesome.
Yes.
Okay. And anything you want to add before we get started, Ken?
No, it's just been awesome. I hope you guys have been enjoying the tutorials we've been putting out so far. Please let us know in the comments what you think of them, if you've gotten a chance to test out some of them. And John and I are just getting started. We're getting busy, and today we're gonna check out another tutorial, right, John? You're gonna be
Yeah,
doing something for us.
Yeah, I'm going to be doing a little design live, and Ken's going to run it on the machine. And when I say live, I haven't even had a chance to really play with this one at all. So I'm crossing my fingers that it's going to turn out okay. It's kind of based on yesterday's little webinar because we talked with the Inner Circle members about a running stitch, which is the simplest stitch type, right?
Yep.
And just so you know, I think I went on for like 20 or 30 minutes talking about a running stitch. So it gets a little bit in depth, so to speak, but this will kind of cross over. And if there is any inner circle people that were with us yesterday, let us know in the comments if you learned some interesting things. When we teach that type of theory, it's not just necessarily about the EL digitizer. It actually does apply kind of to every different software brand. You know what I mean? Because a running stitch is a running stitch, and a satin stitch is a satin stitch, and a fill stitch is a fill stitch, and
Mhm.
those are the I guess the building blocks of embroidery. So cool. Okay. Now, one thing I also will touch on, and this is where I do like to play this little game. Ken and I, obviously, there's a little bit of an age gap between us, right, Ken? You know, I think
I,
if you can't tell, you're the young one and I'm the old one, right?
I think we're
So
pretty similar in age, John. We're relatively similar.
that you just told me that I'm a little bit immature, Ken. That's all you. I just kidding. Which, if you know me, that's probably the truth. That's why Ken's laughing so hard. But it's been kind of fun because I kind of am reminiscing over the last 3 or 4 months with all of our members about things of the past, and then kind of asking Ken if he's ever heard about stuff. And in yesterday's webinar, it was pretty fun because I talked about boom boxes, and you know
Yes.
how in my day we actually, we were cool as teenagers if we had the largest boom box, for playing music you could find, and you'd actually carry it on your shoulder as you're going along. And now the world has gotten obviously much smaller in many ways. It's gotten smaller, but the technology has become smaller as well, right? So
John, did you ever serenade Jennifer with a boombox? Did you ever walk outside?
absolutely. No, no, absolutely not, because I do not have a singing voice. Nobody wants to hear that, and Jennifer especially doesn't want to hear that. So, no, I did not. But it would have been a very romantic thing to do. Maybe you should do that with your significant other, Ken. See how it goes.
Wait,
Um,
now I just
but
gotta find one. Yep.
yeah, my question for you today, Ken, is have you ever heard of a Walkman?
Yeah, actually, as a kid, I had a Walkman, and
Okay.
I love those things. My mom got me one, and I would use it to go to sleep every single night. So I do know what a Walkman is.
Okay, okay. So I'm not feeling that old. And it was, for those of you Sony Walkmans, that's kind of what started it all. I mean, I would love to know how much the battery manufacturers love those devices because you were changing batteries like constantly on a daily basis in those days. And then the other thing I was thinking about this morning, we will get to digitizing, guys, but I was thinking about cell phones because cell phones are a part of our life now. I mean, I have computer. I was a big Star Trek fan, the original, when I was a kid, and with their little thing that they'd flip up and everything, and you just thought that was so sci-fi. And now,
Yep.
40, 50 years later, everybody is walking around with one of these things. But I remember my first cell phone was when I was a teenager, and it wasn't even one of the Motorola brick models. It was like almost a little suitcase that I had to carry on a shoulder strap.
What?
And yeah, I thought I was so cool that I had. So if anybody had one of those, let me know. I know my dad, and this was when I was a very young teenager. He lived in Phoenix, Arizona, and he got a cell phone in his car when they first came out,
Hmm.
and it was like a '66 Mustang that he owned, and it literally they had to put all of the hardware in the trunk, and it filled up and almost the entire trunk of that car just to put a cell phone in the car. It was
Oh
it was
man.
crazy. Yeah. Anyways, so that's a little bit of reminiscing. Sorry, guys, I like to play that game with Ken, but we are going to be digitizing a design. I'm going to do it
I'm
live.
gonna think of some stuff, by the way, to bring and ask you next time. That's gonna be my goal
That's fine.
now.
Yeah, and then that's in the other webinars that we were doing in the original, like the Inner Circle Beta group. We were actually having lots of fun because we were quizzing each other. Like
Yeah.
I have no clue kind of what's going on in today's day and age. So Ken's been teaching me as well. So, anyways, now let's see here. I'm going to go to the software and let me know when you can see it, Ken. You
I
got it
see
up?
it. Let me just make sure that the rest can. There we go. Yes, working
Okay.
everywhere. Perfect.
So I'll make us pretty small, and I'm going to keep it at this scale. And yes, this isn't sort of a follow along tutorial, so you're not going to necessarily be able to see what I'm doing 100%. But I'm going to bring in this design, and I'm going to do a design that is only going to use a running stitch. So it's going to be like a sketchwork design. And also keep in mind, guys, that I am going to be using a pen. I kind of decided because we've been doing a lot of tutorials. I am going to redo this as a tutorial. So for all of our inner circle people, I'm going to upload this artwork and I'm going to redo this as a little tutorial for you. You'll probably have it early next week sometime. And it is going to not, well, actually, I'm not even going to use the pen in the tutorial. I'm going to use the, like not the pen mode, the freehand mode. I'm going to
Mhm.
use the line mode. So, you'll be right and left clicking. But for this example, because the pen is my best friend, I'm going to use my pen monitor to do this, but I'm going to do a couple of different things with this that are going to be a little unique to our EL program. For those of you who don't know, we just launched our EL digitizer, like officially launched it, and we'll get into that a little bit later on. But just to give you an idea of which tool I'm using, I'm not using a mouse. I'm going to be using a pen. And let me just make this smaller again. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in my artwork. So I'm going to load a backdrop. This is going to be a pretty simple little design. It's actually just a little horse's face. So there you can see the horse face design. And I'm going to click on the select backdrop, right click to open my properties. And I'm just going to check here in my properties exactly how big this is. And right now it is like 7.75 inches in height. But you got to remember that that's the entire piece of artwork, right, Ken? Like
Mhm.
if I really want to get an accurate idea on how big this is, I'll go to my measurement tool and I'll look that way. So first thing I'm going to do though is I'm just going to kind of reduce the opacity down a little bit so that it's not quite so bright on the screen when we're doing this. And I'm going to go to my measurement tool and I'm going to measure, let's say from here down, and I can see it's about 4.34 inches in height and it's about 5 inches in width, so about 5 inches. So that's going to be the approximate size. Ken, you have a hoop? Your hoop that you have set up will handle that for the most part, do you think?
Do you think you can make it a little bit smaller just for the width?
Sure.
Just to
Let me
ensure
do
that
that.
we give it at least an inch, 'cause we don't wanna hit the hoop by accident.
No, we do definitely don't want to do that. But you do trace your designs every single time, don't you, Ken?
Yes, that's right.
Awesome, awesome. So we will try not to do that. So I'm going to just reduce this down to 7. And now if I look at this, I'm just going to go in back to here and say, okay, from here to here is 5.6. I mean, we should be okay with that, right?
Mhm.
Or sorry,
Perfect.
4.6. Yeah,
Yes,
4.6 inches.
perfect.
Okay. So now here's what I'm going to do. I have my artwork kind of set up. And yesterday, when I was giving the little webinar, I was going into a little bit of why I am a set scale digitizer. It's not the only way to do it, but I kind of like to, let people understand, why, from a historical point of view, the theory point of view, why I digitize at a 6-to-1 scale, which means I zoom in 600%. And you got to remember that right now, this design on my scale factor up here says 148%. So that's not actual reality. Reality is 100%. So there it says 100%. And on your wheel on your mouse, because most mouses have a center wheel, you can kind of zoom in and out of your design, but they do zoom kind of randomly, right, Ken? I mean, it's like
Mhm.
219%. Now it's going down to 173, and you can zoom in up to, whatever you want. I mean, I'm at almost 2000% right now. So I do use my Zoom, periodically, but for the most part, for the last 41 years, I have digitized at a 6-to-1 scale, which is this scale right here. But keep in mind, and actually let me get out of here for 1 second, which is this scale right here. But keep in mind, as I'm looking at this and I have a big monitor, I'm seeing certain areas of the screen that, I'm not seeing the whole design. So you kind of have to pan around as you're creating stuff. Now, there is two scales, though, that I am pretty accustomed to. 6-to-1 is my go-to scale because I have digitized at this scale since my Shifley days. On that old Jacquard pantograph machine, the Shifley machine, we actually only had one option. It was 600%. All the designs were blown up 600 times larger. And then when you manually punch them, it went down to the 1-to-1 scale. But as I evolved in software, I did start to play with two different scales. 300% and 600%. Now, the reason why I did that is because it was very easy for my simple brain to figure out. You know what I mean? I mean,
Mhm.
going from 600 to 400, that requires some math to figure out what percentage I'm at. But when I'm going from 600 to 300%, my brain right away tells me to do half of what I normally do. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's a lot easier. Now, I did mention yesterday that I like to digitize at 600% because it makes me fast. I don't have to worry about being as accurate because the higher the scale, the quicker you can be at putting endpoints in and not have to worry if they are directly on top of each other, because a lot of people, especially people who are a little, OCD, or they might be a little bit perfectionist by nature, they want to go into their designs afterwards and start moving nodes so everything lines up perfectly. You know what I mean? And that can be a waste of time if you are digitizing, at or editing at 2000%, because the reality is not 2000%, it's 100%. Okay. So I'm giving you a little bit of background here. So I'm going to do this at 300%. And I love doing sketch work at 300% because even though it is not 600, it's 300, I don't have to be quite as perfect. On
Mhm.
a corporate design, if you're digitizing, a logo for a big company like, the McDonald's logo, that golden arch better be perfect. You know what I mean? Because McDonald's will not accept it if it doesn't look exactly like their artwork. It's got to be 100%. But when you're doing sketch work, nobody's going to see the original artwork except for you, right? So, and I
The
know you
artist.
like this, yeah, the artist, and you are the artist. If you're a digitizer, you're an artist in reality, but your medium is not, paint or, whatever, pencil crayons. Your medium is thread, right? Thread and
Mhm.
a needle. So, okay, I'm going to start at 300%. I'm going to probably be going pretty quickly. I'm going to choose my run stitch in my widget over here. So there's a little widget floating around. I choose a run stitch. I'm going to choose my free draw, which is like a pen mode. And I'm going to choose a stitch length at 2 millimeters. So I have my stitches all set up. Now I will let you know also, I have a tool here that is pretty unique to our EL software, which is called the Snap to Anchor tool. And what that allows me to do is to draw continuous paths within an object. And I'm going to make myself and Ken a little smaller here so you can see the screen a little more. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to start here under the head of the actual horse. And I'm going to choose a different color so that hopefully you can see it. So I'm going to choose like a red, or actually not, let's not choose red. Let's choose a blue color so that you can hopefully see it a little bit better. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start here and I'm going to do the head of the horse in a 2 millimeter stitch. And then what I'm going to do is when I get to, let's say, the mane, all of this long flowing hair, if you as a digitizer can, would you use the same stitch length for both of those objects within this design?
Uh, yeah, I think if yes, I would. I
You
would
would, okay.
I would first select the size that I want it to be at without, changing it too much, and then I would keep the same length.
Okay.
But
I'm
I
I
feel
would
like
do
you're
the
testing me
I would
now.
I am, 'cause I would do the opposite, okay? I would do the
Okay.
opposite because here's what I look at when I look at stitches kinda dimensionally. I look at this where in reality, there are 2 different pieces of this horse, right? There
Mhm.
is there's the face of the horse,
Yep.
and the face has short hair, right?
Mhm.
So it's more detailed. But if you look at the mane of a horse, is that hair short or long?
It's long.
It's
Yeah.
long. So what I would do if I were digitizing this, just to try to give that thread a little bit more of a realistic flow in the design, I would do all the elements of the head and the eyes and the ears, all the short-haired elements, I would do in a 2 millimeter stitch. And
Mhm.
then when I get to the flowing hair of the mane, I'm probably gonna, I'm just guessing, I'm gonna up that to, let's say, 3.5. So that way, it's going to reduce the stitches. It's going to give me a little bit of a variance between the 2 objects. It's one design, but 2 different objects, right? So that's sort of where I was going at that. And again, there's many ways to do this. Ken and I do realize that we're both different as far as our digitizing style goes. And he does stuff that I can't do, and I do stuff that maybe, well, I think you could do anything, Ken. But anyways, so
No, we both have our strengths, John, for sure. And you know what's
okay.
interesting? The reason why I said no about racing the stitch length is because in my mind I was like, there's going to be more straight stitches, but I guess if you're starting to curve it, it's still not that noticeable when you look at it from 100%.
Yeah, and I might have confused you too, because yesterday in the webinar, I did go over the difference between straight and curved nodes a lot
Hmm.
and how they react. So that is also something to take into account. But keep in mind right now, I'm using the freehand tool.
Oh
Which
yes,
okay, so the freehand tool is like a really a graphic tool where, you're and that's why the pen, if you're using and Ken, I know you love using the mouse, and I'm never gonna break you of that because I wouldn't want to. You are super fast with the mouse. You made me a believer, but with the freehand tool, I still think the pen has a little bit over the mouse just
yes,
because of you're kinda holding a brick trying to draw something, or you're, holding a pen, and it just
yes.
gives you more control. So there is a place. I know in some areas, I'll get you to use that pen once in a while, but it's not gonna be very often. I get that. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm just gonna start here. Again, I have a 2 millimeter stitch, and I'm gonna start here, and I'm gonna kinda go like this. And I'm just gonna go back and forth, do a couple passes, and then I'll go back over here, do a couple passes, and then I'm gonna come over here, do a couple little passes. I'll come down here, go back up the other side, come down here, go back up the other side. And I'm just really doing a couple of little random passes as I'm creating this design. And I'm not really putting in too much detail, but keep in mind I'm at a 6:1 scale. So when I look at this, this is kind of what I'm seeing at this point. Now, this is where the software is a little different because when I have this set up and I'll turn off the 3D, there is a little black dot here. And right now there's a pair of scissors on it. And you probably can't see this, but when I get right over top of it, what happens to that dot, Ken? A little red,
Highlights red.
it
Yes.
highlights red. And that means that when I look at this right now, and I'm going to go over to my sequence view, and I'm going to go down, I can see that I have one object here. There's one object that I've created, and there's my lines for it. Now, when I go off of that object and I pick up my point here, I'm going to come back here, and I'm just going to do, again, a couple little passes going this way and go this way, a little bit of detail there, come over here, and again, just a couple little passes. And uh, let's just go to there. I'm going to continue to pick this up. And what you're going to see as we do this is you're going to see a bunch of tiny little objects that are actually pathed together. So even though I've picked up my pen and started this 3 or 4 times at this point, when you have the snap to anchor on, how many objects is it actually transforming to, Ken?
One
Just
object.
one object.
Yes.
And that's the beauty of this. So I can pick this up again, and I'll start right here, and I'm going to come in here and I'm going to do a little bit more detail in for that nose. And I'll come over here and I'm just going to go back and forth right here. And I just want to have a couple of passes of thread right here. And I'm just going to continue to sort of pan around this design and pick up little tiny pieces. And again, because I'm using a pen, it's kind of like I'm just doodling with stitches. The only difference is I kind of know that at this scale, at 300%, because I've done it for so long, I know that I'm kind of putting in the right amount of detail. And
Hmm.
that's the other big advantage when you're working at a set scale. If you train your brain to see things at a set scale over and over again, then it does take some of the guesswork out as far as what's too much and what's too little. And I don't want this to be a really, really hugely stitch intensive design. I want it to actually, kind of have a little bit of a flow to it. So here is where I'm going to do something a little bit different. The eyes, in my opinion, of this horse are the most important part. Do you know what I mean? They're,
Yeah.
they're kind of like the part that requires the most detail.
Hmm.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch from my freehand tool and I'm going to switch to my line tool. And I'm going to now put in points that are going to be more defined. So I'm actually telling it where I want these points to be. And I'm kind of manually putting some stitches back and forth so that that area is actually as built up as I want it. Do you know what I'm saying?
And you were
Yeah.
still able to use the snap to anchor to
Yeah,
work
that's
under
the
that
that's
same
the beauty.
object.
You're
Yes.
able to, even though I'm changing my drawing tool, I'm still able to use a snap to anchor because right now it's still all showing up as one object.
Hmm.
So if I do want an area in a design that I want to switch from kind of like random freehand mode where I'm kind of, like drawing, I can switch within that object while, the drop to anchors on, go into line mode, which is going to give me more precision. And now I want to go back to my free draw mode and I'm going to pick up where I left off and I'm going to kind of come here and I'm going to go down and I'm just going to come here and I'm going to put a little bit of detail in right there and just put in some stuff, random back and forth. And let's just pan over so I can get this here. And I'm going to come over here now and I'm going to kind of come over and I'm going to do a little bit of this detail in the ear because that
Uh,
looks, yeah.
John, sorry to interrupt you. Judy has a question, and how are you connecting them? So if you could
Uh,
showcase the snap to anchor where it's located one more time and how it works.
Sure. Well, the snapped anchor, it connects automatically, and that's the beauty of this, is that right now this sees it all as one object, and because this one tool up here is turned on, which is called snapped anchor, as long as I see my black dot, and you might not be able to see it on this live, but there's a little black dot here, and when I hover over that black dot, a little red ring appears around it. That means that I have the bullseye, right? And as long as I pick up right where that red dot left off, then I can continue using that tool and I can actually, have it so that it still sees one path, right? Now, here's what I'm going to do is I've finished that one ear. I have one more ear to do. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to go kind of down here, just do a little bit of random work, come over here, come down this side, and do a couple of passes, not many, but let's do a couple of passes of thread. And that, as far as I'm concerned, all of those elements now are done. Okay, so I have those elements done, and they were all done at what stitch length? 2 millimeters,
Hmm.
right? Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my snap to anchor off, which is up here. I'm going to unhighlight it. So now my snap to anchor is turned off. And now I'm going to go into my stitch settings and I'm going to go around till I see 3.5 millimeters. And I'm going to start here at 3.5. And here's where that little, because the snap anchor is off, I don't see the little red dot appear anymore. But I know that if I start on that black dot, it is going to not create a jumper trim. It's still going to continue sewing, but it's
Hmm.
not going to snap to anchor and continue that object. It's going to start making its own object. And it's at this point that I can come in here and I can very, very quickly just kind of go like that. And now you can see here in the sequence view, I have an object that is set all to itself, but it has a 3.5 millimeter stitch. And the original object has a 2 millimeter stitch. So I was just able to take that and change the course, so to speak, change the settings. I have control over how
The
I do this.
properties on the stitch length.
Exactly. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click off of this. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn the snap to anchor back on. I
John,
turned it
before
off.
you
Yep.
continue, sorry to interrupt. Some people want to know if you can zoom in just very like closely to that circle so that they can
Oh,
see it.
well, I'm sorry. They're making me break my 6-to-1 rule, my 3-to-1 rule. And
Yeah.
that's something I just can't do. No, I will do that for you.
Yeah. Just so
Okay.
that they can see the
Just
close
so you
up
can see.
of that
Okay.
circle. Yep.
I'll do this and then I will disappear afterwards. Okay. So here I'm zoomed in now and let's turn off the 3D. There's my little black dot right there. And here, if I hover over it, can you see there it just kind of appears? I got
Yep.
there's a little red piece. That's with snap to anchors on. And if I turn snap to anchors off, then if I go over it, that little red dot doesn't appear.
Hmm.
Okay. So that is the snapped anchor tool. And I mean, a lot of people, they're getting our software, we're giving them courses. There's like, there's 9 videos on just the user interface. It's, this program is set up to be intuitive and to be, I guess, sort of have automation built into it to make the process easier. But I'm not going to tell people and give them, false information that this is just like, oh, you load in a piece of artwork and snap your fingers, hit a magical button, and voila, it appears. That's not going to happen. You know what I mean? This
Hmm.
is set up in a way that we've developed some really innovative things within this program that I know other people don't have because we've had them tailored around how we've wanted them to work. And we're going to give you the education, and that's what it comes down to be honest, education. We're going to
Yep.
give you the education to learn how to use these properly, but you still have to learn them. And learning anything requires time. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So, Ken, you're popping out a ton of videos. I'm going to be quiet now, and maybe you just want to let people know about, I guess, a lot of the education because I'm going to go into
Sure.
freehand mode now, and I'll let you
Perfect.
just continue on.
Well, we do have one question from Patty, and that is you can't change those properties without taking off the snap to anchor. Now, would you like to answer that or should I go into it, John?
Uh, Yeah, if you change the properties while it's in snap to anchor, it'll change all the properties of that object. And
Hmm.
that's why I turned it on and off because I wanted to have the best of both worlds. I wanted to have one part of the design with a shorter stitch and another part of a design with a longer stitch because and I did that on purpose. I wanted to make sure that whatever you guys were actually choosing to do, you have to remember that you know like I used to use the example of the wolf. I digitized a wolf many years ago, and I used a fill stitch in the face because the wolf's face has very short hair, and it looks like it should be nice and smooth. But when you start going down a wolf's back, when you go from its head down its back, its jowl is smooth, the top of its head gets a little furrier, and as you go down the back, what happens to the fur? It gets
It's
longer.
longer.
Yeah,
Yep.
so we're trying to replicate in thread, and thread is a perfect medium for that because we can control the stitch length. So, okay, I'll let you go on, Ken. I'm gonna be quiet now, and I'm just
Yeah.
gonna go into freehand mode, and you can tell people a little bit about the educational resources that we've been,
Sure.
offering.
And just for anyone who is still a little bit confused about the snap to anchor, so the goal of a snap to anchor is to be able to create shapes under one specific object. So instead of you having a million objects on the sequence view, if you can make it smaller so that the digitizer is a little bit bigger,
Sure.
yeah, and right now, he just let go of his pen, which means that it usually you'd start a new object, but because the snap to anchor is enabled, it is going to allow you to continue digitizing under that same stitch. But the thing is that when you work on that same object, it's going to have certain properties. So, for example, the stitch length on this stitch is currently 3.5, which is why he had to create another object. And the previous one, which were the details of the face, we're at 2.5. So more details. And now with the hair, he can add more stitch length. So it's still keeping it relatively simple because you're saving from having to create a million objects. You have two with two different properties. And this is the kind of lessons that we will be doing and we are constantly working on if you want to check them out. And also, welcome to all the new people. I did see that we have a couple new people here in the chat. So just want to say welcome to all of you. Hey, say hi if you are in the comments. And yeah, I hope you've been enjoying the education because we have touched on it. But John does have videos that are related to the software, into the UI, into how each of the tool works, and please let us know what else you'd like to learn from it.
Awesome. Very good
And
explanation again.
thank you, thank you. John is super concentrated now
Yeah.
in digitizing. So we have a question from Patty. So once you change the properties and create a new object, you can turn the snap to anchor back on and keep going. Correct. And you don't even have to take it off. The main reason why he took the snap to anchor off was because he wanted to continue that stitch, but create a new shape. Because if he had left that on and the circle, the red circle becomes highlighted, then he was going to continue digitizing under that same shape. And his goal was to create a new object. So you don't have to take it off as long as you click somewhere else. But if you want to click on that specific point, then you can take it off for a minute and then put it back on. And I'm just going, okay, I thought the hair in the mane was going to be a longer stitch length. So yes, it
Yes.
is. Right now it's at 3.5, whereas the face was set to 2, I believe. Right, John?
Yes, that's correct. So yeah, it's I mean it's ever so slight. We're talking, 2 millimeters to 3.5 millimeters is 1.5 millimeters of difference, but it's actually still substantial enough that it will give you a slightly different visual appearance than keeping it all at one stitch length.
Mm-hmm. And we have a couple questions. Would you like me to ask those now or
Sure.
share it after during the embroidery process?
We can do a couple of them now. I mean, I'm pretty much done the design. So
Okay, perfect. And the question is, since you launched the program recently, do you have written instructions yet? So I'm assuming you're asking about a manual.
yes, we did release the first version of our manual. And actually, you know what? Let me get this saved. Let me send you the DST file, and then we'll pick up on those questions just so we keep the flow going. Because I don't even know what we're at time wise now. Ken, how
Sounds
much?
good.
Okay, let's see what time it is. Okay, well, we still have time. Good, awesome.
Yep.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to end up saving this now. So I'm going to save the native file format, and let's just save it anywhere I want. I got to find somewhere to save it, which will not be confusing for me. And let's just go here.
We got a comment from Trish. I'm new to embroidery, but feel like I jumped in at the perfect time. This program and education is amazing. Thank you so much, Trish. That's very kind of you.
Awesome,
Uh,
awesome.
and it's fantastic. Oh, thank you guys so much. So here you go. I'll show you a little quick sneak peek. I have a magic button that allows me to switch to a different camera because I'm ready for John to send me that design.
I'm trying. I'm going as fast as it's funny. It's taking me longer to save the design because I got to figure out where to put it and how to send it to you while I'm doing all this. It's taking me longer to figure out how to save this design than it is to digitize it, which is kind of scary. Okay, so DST format, correct?
Yep, perfect.
Okay, and hold on one sec. And oh no, I don't have that open. Okay, Ken, hold on one sec. Do you have email on there or not? Or only
Yep,
only?
yep,
Okay.
I do.
Okay, perfect. I'm just going to send this to you right now.
We're gonna do it the old school way.
Yes, we are in two different locations, which is making this a little bit interesting.
Hmm.
If I would have pre-done this design, then I could have had it sent off to Ken. But in that situation, it wouldn't be right like digitizing live, right?
Hmm. Yep.
Okay.
We are doing this all on the spot, but honestly, I think that's what's fun about it all. Let's see. I'm gonna
Okay.
ask a couple more, just checking it out. By the way, if you guys have any questions, make sure to add them in the comments because I am writing them down. Even if we don't answer all of them right away, I do have an endless list of them because we do our best to try to answer them for you.
Okay.
And
Awesome. And I just sent you one, and I was really creative in how I named it. It's called horse.
oh wow, I wouldn't have guessed that.
Okay. So as you can see, I mean that did not take me very long to create that design, and it's a very very simple design. If I wanted to, I probably could add a couple fills in there. I could have done if I were going to do a couple fills, I'd probably do the ears and the face as one lighter fill color, and then just pop in a fill behind the mane that would be a slightly darker brown, and that would actually probably look really really cool, and then do the black or
Hmm.
brown over top, whatever color. I don't know what color you're going to do the horse. Hopefully it's not going to be pink, but it could be pink. Not saying pink's a bad color. Awesome. You're all set.
Yeah, and that's just to answer Vince's question. Did you put an extender on the side so you can extend the machine directly through the network cable? I'm just using a USB. This
Yeah.
is like fail proof. I love the USB. So I'll be right back, guys. I'm just gonna switch to the other. Oh no, that's the wrong
Awesome.
button.
Ken,
There we go.
what was that question that I was supposed to ask while you're loading this answer? I mean,
Uh can you show us how to save designs in native format and in DST on the software without having to copy paste onto another new design? That is a good question. That is not the one, but if you
yeah,
can answer that one.
that's not the one. And I kind of didn't follow that 100%. Ken's off doing his thing, but as far as this design right here, I would save this as the JDX file format. Just so you know, the JDX file format is our software's native file format. There's no embroidery machine in the world or any other software program that you'll be able to load a JDX file into it. Hey, Ken. But you can bring it into our program, and all the original properties and nodes and everything that we use to create that will be in that file. After you have saved the JDX file, and always save that file, please. It's your safety net, so to speak. Then I would save the machine file format. So if it is, we're using a Tajima Sai, we'd want to make sure that on our Tajima Sai we actually have that is pretty close to the hoop. Let's see if we can make that work. Yeah, I think it's going to work. But we will save it as a DST file. Depending on what machine brand you have, you would probably want to go and save your design in that format. If it's a Brother, it would be PES. If it's a Genome, it might be JEF. And you can bring outside file formats into our program as well, and it will try its best to convert it to outlines, but it's never going to be as good as the original. And every software program on the face of the earth kind of works under those precepts, where they all have a native file format that they actually work with. Okay, are you with us, Ken?
I am here. Yes.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, well, while that's sewing, should
Yep.
we answer? And let's just hide this on screen. So what are some of the other questions? I know there was another question that we was starting to answer. I said let's hold off on that one.
Sure. I'm just gonna go back to. So, do we have written instructions yet? Do we have a
Yes.
manual?
There is a manual that was just released. It's like, 1.0 as far as the version of the manual. And here's where I will let everybody know our software is developed by one of the world leaders who has been developing software for many, many decades. And they are incredible. They're innovative and always have been throughout the years. And I've worked with them for many, like decades as well. They have basically built our program on a platform that was new and that allowed us to, in my opinion, work for the future, work for things that we have planned years ahead. Now, keeping that in mind, our beta version and the version that is available now is a digitizer, and we have been working primarily on getting all of the features and tools of the digitizer in place so that we can give the education and the lessons that we want to provide to people so that they can have success with their embroidery journey. The font engine, the auto digitizing engine, and some of the editing stuff that we have on our phase list, those are under construction as we speak. So the reason why I'm telling you all that is this software is going to continue to have builds for the next 18 months at least before I consider my first phases completed. And that means that the manual is going to be updated continually. So the manual that is there now, I know pretty much 100% that 2 or 3 months from now, it will be modified and amended to input all of the new and additional features that we have.
Hmm.
Awesome.
Next question is where or when can they get their bonuses that they've purchased
Uh,
with the program?
Actually, that one, as soon as we finish running the sample, I will call up a slide and it's going to show a couple things that we did announce on the live, but I'm not going to go into the same amount of detail. The right now, when you get the software, you're getting it at an incredible introductory price, which will not happen again at the same price with the same bonuses. I know that for sure. And Jesse, our marketing director, who is with us on the launch, he made that quite clear as well. But we are including right now a bunch of education in the inner circle, a bunch of lessons, and I'm talking a bunch. Ken, you've been releasing a lesson almost every day on our channel. And we are in the very near future, I'm going back so Ken and I can redo my Digitizer's Dream Course 2.0, which will be shot specifically for the EL software. We're redoing my, I guess, my original theory-based webinars that or I guess DVDs that I did in the old days. Ken and I are redoing those, and we are including master's classes and all of the bonus fonts and all of the things that are in your bonus when you purchased. If you have purchased the software, those will be available in June 2025 when our new site launches. We have been working for almost a year and a half on a new website, and it is being built around, to be honest, this program and all the things that we have planned for this software. Our current site, which has been operating for many years now, was just not updated enough to handle everything that we wanted to implement. So all of the extra bonuses, the fonts, the master's classes, the new video lessons that Ken and I are coming out with, those will be in your class, and you will have your subscription, which will last a year within those bonuses. That is going to be there starting June. So you're not going to lose out on any time. You'll still get your full year. And also keep in mind that we're doing it as a subscription because I believe that subscriptions should only be renewed if people feel they got a value for what they actually, got it for. And that means that if after a year of getting our master's classes, our designs, our fonts, I don't our accents, I don't even want to mention everything we have planned because we have a lot planned. But after a year, if you feel that you've gotten real value, then I know you'll want to keep on learning with us and participating. If you don't feel you got value, then you won't want to, and that's fair because everybody's time and money is of value. So that's sort of how we're structuring it. But all the education and classes that you do get, even when that subscription ends, you will not lose them. They remain yours. Okay, so Ken, what would you say that looks like? A donkey? I don't know if Ken can hear me or not. Okay, I think he's putting it on there and then he's going to be running back. But there is the horse, and
All right,
hopefully,
John. Sorry, I'm back
oh,
now.
no worries.
Couldn't hear
Okay, no
you.
worries. Okay, I was asking, what do you think that looks like? And I was hoping you weren't going to say a mule or a donkey. It does kind of resemble a horse, doesn't it?
It looks like a cat. No, I'm just kidding.
And Ken, I've been meaning to talk to you about that because you have been doing a lot of lessons with cat artwork lately.
Guys, I'm gonna be honest. I am now a cat owner, so I am in love with cat. But
Awesome.
no, it looks like a horse. It looks awesome and super
Okay.
clean. It took no time. I was surprised when I was listening to you answer the question and it was already done. So that's really cool.
Well, the important thing is there is 4,150 stitches in that design, and it is 4.4 inches wide by 3.91 inches high. So it's not I mean, it's not a small design, but it actually sewed out well. I didn't see any thread breaks. There were no trims or jumps because that snap to anchor feature is available, and because I know how to use it properly.
Hmm.
And that's something like, I mean, if you guys get the software and you don't watch our tutorials or our lessons and you don't follow our instruction, you probably will start to stumble around and say, how does this crazy tool work? And you'll have all kinds of frustration. Our goal is to take the frustration away from the process. So
That's right.
please watch our lessons. I mean, we're doing them not because we're doing them because we want to do them. We have fun doing them,
We
but
love
we're
it.
doing them. Yeah, but we're doing them because we want to help you get past the learning curve, right?
That's
So
right.
anyways, so that was pretty quick and easy. I
We have
mean,
a really good question from Jen. Do you need to be an experienced embroiderer to use this software? I'm just starting out.
okay, that kind of is a double-edged sword, and I'll tell you why. I think that you could start this process at any point, whether it's prior to having a machine or you just bought your machine. But I will tell you that the best digitizers, in my opinion, are people who have run embroidery machines and see the process, the physical nature of what embroidery actually is. How it trims, how it paths, how it starts and stops. I mean, that is time really, really well spent if you want to learn how to digitize. You don't have to do it in that order, but you definitely will need a machine. You'll definitely want to watch all your samples sew out. And I think it is important to actually get some of those, and not all designs that you get for free online are bad, but download some of those free designs that were done by people who have no clue how to create designs for, and watch them run, and very, very quickly, and then run a good design. Very quickly you'll sit there and say, wow, and if you guys agree with me in the comments, let me know.
Yeah, that was
It's
actually one of the questions. Someone asked, I bought some designs online, and how do I edit those designs to make them run better with the software? And
redigitize them, to be
yeah, I
honest.
was
you
going
know
to say it's going to be a
I
pain to have to fix them up.
Yeah, if people give me, and it doesn't matter what software it's ever been in, if you give me a design in a DST or PES format and you tell me it's not running well, can you please edit it? I will pretty much say no, because I know it would take me half the time, and maybe even more. It would take me a quarter of the time to redigitize that design and do it properly from the beginning than it would for me to go into an expanded data, file, even though it tries to convert to outlines and try to fix it. It's not impossible, but you have a lot, you have better things to do with your time, like cuddle with your cat, right, Ken?
That's right. Honestly, the way that I see it with digitizing is the same way as you hiring someone who doesn't know how to renovate a house, and then you get a botched job, and then you have to just take it all apart instead of just renovating it properly from the first time. Save so much time, and you're not wasting money or materials. So
Okay. So,
it's
anyways, I will, before we go into any questions, let me just knock this out real quick because I want to give away some free designs.
perfect.
That's something we
Yes.
always do, and hopefully, Ken, either you can tell me who wins, or Beth. I don't know if anybody's helping us today. I forgot to ask.
Yeah, we got
But
Beth.
anyway,
She's
oh,
helping
awesome.
out.
Hi, Beth. My daughter Beth is helping us. So the whole idea behind what we're doing is we're not really just selling a digitizing program, in my opinion. I mean, our digitizing program, in reality, like I said, to be transparent, it is great. It functions well, but it's not even 100% finished. We are plugging in all the pieces as we're going along because it's so new. But we have a really solid, good digitizing program that will give us the ability to do something very important, and that is to provide you with education. That's I've always said there's two pieces to this puzzle. There's software. There's software on one side and there's education on the other side. And any program is only as good as the education, and that's what we've really been known for throughout my career is education, theory-based education, interactive education, events, webinars, all that kind of stuff. And that's where we are bringing the two together with the inner circle experience. So
Mhm.
when you buy our digitizer, you're not just getting a digitizing program. I think that is almost like, I think we could say we have an educational platform to teach you how to digitize, and here's the cost, and sell it just on the education and say, oh, by the way, we're going to throw in this digitizing program, for you to do this process free. Okay, it's not free, guys, please don't take that out of my mouth. But the education, we reversed it. We're providing the education and the digitizing program in one, to give you not just a learning from YouTube experience, but we're giving you the deep dive in how to actually do this successfully. And
That's
that's
right.
what we do best. So that's what this whole thing is about. It's not just a digitizer. I'm not just want to plug a digitizing program. This is an inner circle experience. This is an experience that we want people to be successful with their journey. Now, as I mentioned, the new site does launch in June 2025. You don't have to wait. You're getting the software now. We are giving you tons of education. But some of the extra bonuses that we've sort of announced, like, in this, I use this in our launch slide. We're giving you the software. We're giving you a year's worth of our master classes. We're giving you our premium membership. We're giving you bonus fonts. We're redoing our two flagship courses, one being the theory-based course, the other being the Digitizer's Dream course. And we're giving you our hands-on experience, which is tied into our Facebook group, and all the lessons that Ken's been posting on YouTube and the lessons that are going into people's classrooms. These are things that, as a member, you get the art files for, you get the JDX files so that you can see and compare what we did and what you did. So all of this together, and we're giving you access to our party. We're actually giving you this for $899 for the launch. And that includes all the education, the software, and everything. Past this launch date, the price of the software is going to be more, and the education might not be that we're providing as the bonus might not be as extensive. So this is, as my son said at the launch, the best deal I know that we're ever going to offer at this time during this launch. So it is a great value, but again, I want to be transparent. If you get the software and you go right now and play with the auto digitizing functions in our software, they might give you the spinning wheel right now, and something might not render, or things have, because those are items that are still being worked on, and we are working on, in my opinion, the important stuff, which is finishing up all the tools for the digitizer so that we can teach you how to produce quality designs.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Okay, awesome. And what's new? Okay, so here, guys, and I think we have a couple more minutes. These are some of the new design releases that we've had in the last, I guess, 2 weeks. And this is where, after you view them, you can type in the word launch. Let's do the word launch. Okay.
Launch.
Okay, so type
Yes.
in the word launch, and two people, one from YouTube, one from Facebook, you will get your choice of one of these design packs. We have our EL Golf Pack. This one was released for golfers. So if you have a golfer in the family, I know they will love these. My son-in-law Travis is a big golfer, and I think he was happier than everybody to see these ones comes out. So EL Golf was one. We have our EL Fashion Decor number 4. So these are fashion related designs. We have our best friend bears and bees. So that is another one,
That
cute
one's
little,
really cute.
it is a cute kidsy design. And we have our off fishing too. So, we have some stuff for guys. So we have golf and fishing on one side, and fashion decor and cute little baby bears on the other. So anyways, we will give it a couple seconds, and then whoever wants to, whoever, I guess you or Beth can choose, we will
We have the
actually.
winner on Facebook,
Awesome.
and the winner on Facebook is Calvin Burton. Congratulations, Calvin Burton on Facebook.
Awesome. Okay. And how do they win, Ken?
They
What do
win
they
by
have to do?
they have to email us in at contact@embroiderylegacy.com. Say that you won, and then tell us what the pack you want to pick.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. And
So
now
that's for
on.
Facebook. Now for Instagram, for YouTube, we have at Spyro Rocks 346. Sorry, that was a long name.
Can you say that
Spy
again 3 times real fast?
Yeah, Spyro Rocks 346. Spyro Rocks 346.
Actually, well
Congratulations.
done. Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. Okay. So again, just send us an email, contact@embroiderylegacy.com. Let us know which pack, whether it is off fishing, or whether it is the best friends bear and bee, or the fashion decor, or the EL golf. So you just let us know which one you want. And Leanne will be
Congratulations.
back in the office early next week. And we told people in our webinar yesterday, Leanne, who is our person who helps all of our customers and has been for many, many years. She is off on holiday, and we are missing her so much. So she'll be back next week, and we'll get you off whichever pack you have chosen. Okay.
Yep.
And what else do we have, Ken?
I have a couple things to mention. Well, first of all, thank you so much, guys, and welcome to every single one of you who's just reaching out for the first time. We we already have 2 videos for the weekend, including today. So make sure that if your question was missed, you can ask them in those videos, and then we'll do our best to reply to them. So that way you have no confusion. And John, are you going to be working on creating a tutorial on the design you created today?
Yes, I am. I will have that hopefully to you on Monday morning, Ken.
Perfect. So
It'll be
we'll
ready for you when you get in.
when you guys wake up, make sure to turn on the software, grab a cup of coffee, put on YouTube or the classroom, and then get ready to digitize. Oh,
Okay.
thank you so much on the congrats on 100K.
Yeah, yeah. And actually, what do you have behind you there, Ken? I see something.
This little thing, the
Yeah.
100K plaque. Yes,
All
thank you
right.
guys so much.
Yeah, yeah. And we actually, I think we're at like 102 now. So it's amazing how
Yep.
it's growing quickly.
Yeah, thank you guys. We're 102 people. Yay.
Okay.
102
Now,
people that love digitizing and embroidery.
and we have 4 more minutes, Ken. So is there anything that we can answer real quick in the next 4 minutes to
Sure.
wrap up the hour?
Yeah, we can definitely do that. When you digitize designs on the website for sale, will they be available in JDX format?
Okay, that's a really, really good question. What has happened is, and this is where, sorry, I'm just trying to get rid of this text right now. I'm just going to hide that for that. This is where our lives at EL have been a little bit hectic for the last year or so while we've been planning all this. And even with the beta launch, where we provided a ton of education for people, we provided 10 webinars for people that were theory based, and I shot, I think, 8 videos with the user interface. We
Hmm.
were not able to really start reshooting that content until we got the last build that we launched with. So we have been in like hyperdrive mode for the last couple weeks, right, Ken? Where
Yep.
we had to make sure that all of the content, the manual, everything lined up with that newest version, right? So now here is what is in my plans for our designs. And keep in mind that I have pretty much the next year of digitizing already done. So you could come back a year from now and you're going to still see our designs that were digitized, and we still are offering the EMB file format, the native format, because that was the software that we were using. Now that we have our own software and it is amazing, I am training my teams to use it to create our designs, and myself, to start creating as well, because I'm not the only one who digitizes our designs. But I am training them to start pretty much right now to start creating the new content. So in about a year's time, you're going to see a transition on our site where we go from EMB to JDX, and
Hmm.
we will be switching file formats. We couldn't start a year ago because the software wasn't ready. It wasn't, doing what we needed it to do. So this is really exciting for us because it's a huge blessing and opportunity and a lot of work. But I think that we are definitely, doing something a little unique in this industry where we're going to give you a good program and great education to actually make it come together.
It's gonna be fun. It is already fun. I love creating these tutorials, guys. So if you guys have any suggestions, again, there you can always plop them
Yeah.
down in the comments.
Yeah.
And we have one very important question, and that is where can they find the inner circle?
The inner circle is, and here's the deal with the inner circle. The inner circle experience is specifically for people who have purchased our software. And as soon as you purchase the software and download it and all that kind of stuff, in your classroom, there'll be a bunch of videos. You'll get access to the inner circle Facebook group. If you go there now and you have not purchased the software, we will not admit you. It's not an open group. It is specifically, you have to provide your serial number, your email address that you actually used when you purchased it, and we manually allow people in who are users of the program. So it is it's a little bit of an exclusive club at this point, and we are going to just build everything around that foundation. And that
Hmm.
goes with a lot of the education that we're providing. Some of it's on YouTube, which we do because of the ability to now have it in different languages, which is awesome. But if you want the actual art file or the JDX files, those are only available to our Inner Circle experience members in their classroom on our site when they log in.
Yeah. That way you can always import it into your software with a JDX file, see how John and I digitized it as well as other members, and compare it to the work that you've created, tweak it, and have fun.
For sure.
Yep.
Awesome,
Yep.
awesome. Okay, so somebody's saying, would you consider doing a dedicated Q&A a day before the 4th? We are pretty much up to everything. Ken and I know that we are going to be doing lots of webinars between now and then in the Inner Circle. We're going to be doing more lives. Ken digitized the last live. I did this one, so tag, you're it, Ken. I think you're doing the next. But
I love to
these are
digitize. Yeah, I'm ready.
I mean, these are fun. I mean, if I weren't talking, to be honest, for this webinar, I
Yep.
think I would have cranked out that horse in 5 minutes. I mean, it's not a complex design. It's easy, and that's the way embroidery. It should be fun and easy.
We have a question of where should a newbie get started in the Inner Circle? What's the answer to that, John?
The answer to that is go to your classroom, and there is the very first button that says welcome. Click
Hmm.
on that welcome and watch that video through. And then as soon as you watch the welcome, go to the next line, which says, I think it's called, what's it called? User interface videos, where I have yet another welcome video, but based on the software. And then there's 8 videos after that, which show people all the tools, the basic tools, the brushes, the properties, the settings. I give them an overview. It's not a deep dive, because a deep dive would not be 8 videos long. It would be 800 videos long, you know, and we'll get there. But, you start at the beginning. So for somebody who's new, the best place to start is at the beginning. And that's where we all started.
Yep. Perfect. And then I just have one more question from Beth on Facebook, and that is, are the fonts in the software for personal use only? And I will add on one more question. How many fonts do we have on the software?
The fonts within the software come right now with 200 fonts that are loaded into the program. We are giving away bonus fonts that will be available to you June 2025, and I think there's like 132 of them, which I do already have ready. We've been busy doing a lot of stuff, but they will be available when the site is launched, because we have it built in there so that members can get their fonts. And there will be lots more optional fonts as well that we will provide at that point, that part of your Inner Circle membership that gives you our master's classes, our education, all that stuff. It also includes our designs, and it includes the fonts that we'll be creating for the software, which you can choose optionally to load into the software. So yeah, we're making this pretty easy for people to grow their education and the fonts and whatever they want.
Yes. I love how you said membership like this, and it instantly reminded me of Austin Powers tractor beam. I don't know if
Okay, now I know what I'm going to
Anyways,
be
yeah.
watching this weekend. Okay. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. And again, if we didn't get to your questions, I apologize. Just keep submitting them, I guess, within the YouTube videos, like Ken said, or email us, and we'll do our best to get back to you. And again, we have been shorthanded this week, but so if we haven't answered your questions, if you emailed something in, please be patient with us, because we are a little shorthanded right now. And my
Yeah.
my daughter Beth is covering very well for Leanne, so I know she's been under a little bit of stress. Awesome. Okay,
Okay.
awesome. I think we are done, right?
I think so. But we'll see you
Awesome.
guys on the tutorials in the classroom, and in the Facebook group. So welcome everyone. We hope to see you guys again very soon and enjoy your weekend.
Okay, thanks. Take care.
Take care, John.
Bye bye.